confession of our lips and our hearts, God, as we love you more.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Than anything. It's because of that in this year 2020 we've made up our mind, God, that we're sticking with you.
Hallelujah.
No matter the challenge, the issue, because we've been reminded today, God, that in our behalf you'll move mountains.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
In our behalf you'll do great and mighty things. And so, God, our confession is we're sticking with you. Now, again, as I stand, Lord, I do so in the midst of weakness, asking you to be my strength. Make this word today live, God. And so that we understand we are the beneficiaries of an indescribable, boundless, endless
Yes, Lord. Yes,
gift
Lord.
called mercy.
Praise Him.
If there are those who haven't yet moved today, I pray, God, through the movement of your Holy Spirit, as you remind us through this word of your faithfulness, that our response would demonstrate the gratitude of our hearts.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
So, God, today get glory. Move by your power and get glory today. God, move by your power and get glory.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Anything, God, that the enemy would try to do to hinder what it is you want in our God to be done. I pray that you bind his hand. Release us into your presence like never before. Lord, we love you more than anything. So we bless your name today through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
God bless you. We're going to move as the Lord directs through, you know where we are, Lamentations chapter 3, through this. And we thank God for how he has moved today. If you couldn't find a reason to praise or to worship the Lord today, I can lend you a few. One of the things I think about yesterday afternoon, I looked outdoors and the car was covered, the grass was covered, the street was covered, and the snow was coming down. At some point between then and this moment, something happened. And what could have been a snow-filled and packed Sunday, the Lord made it possible for us. We had to watch your step, but nonetheless, we were able to get here to tell him, Lord, I love you more than anything. So, let me remind, if you need to borrow a reason to praise, and let me remind you of this simple truth. God is in control. I'm not going to preach long today, so y'all better come on and get on board real quick. Tell your neighbor, God is in control. Hallelujah. Lamentations chapter 3. verse 21 through 23. We'll come back next Sunday, and I know it's the full Sunday, but I'm going to preach next Sunday and do verses 24 through 26. But today, read with me aloud verse 21, 2, and 3. This I recall to my mind, therefore have because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great. While you're standing, tell your neighbor, I'm sticking with God. I'm sticking with God. Amen. In preparation for today's message on this installation, officers, Sonia, just in a meditative moment, God allowed me to stumble upon a song by William McDowell. The song was entitled, and some of you I'm sure have heard it, the song is entitled, He's Still Moving. In the song, he says he's still moving. He's still proving just how great he is. This song blessed me as I was thinking about this word on today because it connects so clearly and accurately with where we are in this message and in this season of declaring that we're sticking with God. Amen. If you haven't heard it, let me give you a preview. In the song, there are pauses, there are moments when he goes into a commentary or an editorial. And he shares that over the last few years, he has seen more miracles than he can even recall or remember. Then it begins to call persons from the congregation and the audience up to the stage, and he begins to point out their testimony and how God did what he did for them. And as he would call person after person, one person who the Lord delivered from a stroke, another person who the Lord elevated out of a wheelchair, another person who he said was given a week to live, both her and her 6 children, and the Lord did what he did, and she's alive on today. And he went through all of these lists of names, and he kept saying this, and it just took root in my spirit. He kept saying, there is nothing too hard for God. When we consider our text today, that is indeed what God was using Jeremiah to demonstrate to the house of Israel. You do remember, I trust, what we preached on last Sunday. I hope you had a chance this week to read chapters 31 and chapter 32 of the book of Jeremiah, particularly in verse 27 of the 32nd chapter, where God reminds Jeremiah that there is nothing too hard for me. So on this Lord's Day, I just believe if we would change what we see, if we would allow the Lord to change our heart and change our mind, we can likewise testify that there is nothing too hard for God. I heard that Deacon McCain is going for surgery on the 27th, and Ray, that you're going for yet another surgery. That jumped in my spirit just to remind you there's nothing too hard for God. I have no idea who I'm talking to. I have no idea who's going through what you're going through, but I just need you to get this, if you don't get anything else out of this word today, that there is nothing too hard for God. There is no valley too low. There is no mountain too high. There is no river too wide. There is nothing that God cannot do. And somebody ought to just give him a shout and a high five because there's nothing too hard for God. The enemy has been trying to trick you and meddle with your mind and make you panic and believe that you are in a crisis. But I've come to tell you that you ain't in a crisis because there's nothing too hard for God. It doesn't matter how extreme it is, doesn't matter how broke you are, how long you've been broke, there's nothing too hard for God. It doesn't matter how lonely you are, how long you've been lonely, there's nothing too hard for God. It doesn't matter how many locks are on the door, he can break locks, there's nothing too hard. Y'all gonna call me preachers just a moment. God can do, tell your neighbor, anything. There's at least one or two witnesses who are here today who can testify what's impossible with man is possible with God. Won't he do it, y'all? God, all by himself can do it. That's why I can tell him I love you. Sit with God. Jeremiah was saying because there's nothing too hard for him. Jeremiah came to this timeless truth at a difficult time in his life when he was in his dungeon season. And in that season, it's right there in Jeremiah chapter 32, God tells Jeremiah, your uncle's son is coming. He's going to proposition you about buying his land. Buy it. I went through last week how much he paid for it and the circumstances. Although Jeremiah, we see, obeyed God, he didn't quite understand why God had him buy a piece of property that was in possession of the enemy. I told you on last week, at the time his uncle's son, his cousin came to him, the Babylonians had already taken possession of that property. So God, why have me spend, he'll say in verse 25, 26, why have me spend good money on a piece of land that the enemy owns? The point for us to learn, and I leaped in my spirit when the Lord showed me this. The point for us to learn is that God is using this to teach us a critical lesson. That often in our lives, what seems to make no sense is an opportunity for God to demonstrate his sovereignty and his power. I gotta say that again, but somebody missed it. What seems to make no sense, what you can't figure out, what you have not been able to lay out, what you have not been able to understand why you've had to go through it or are going through it. What makes no sense to you is simply an opportunity for God to demonstrate his sovereignty and his power. God tells Jeremiah, buy this land. It's occupied now by the enemy, but buy it anyway, because I'm going to use this property that you're going to purchase to demonstrate to Israel that I'm God and I am God all by myself, and that there's nothing too hard for me. You see Jeremiah's day. Now fast forward 70 years after the Babylonian captivity. You remember I told you last time that God told Jeremiah, take the deed, make a copy, put the sealed copy of the original in an envelope and seal it, and then put it in a piece of pottery. Put the top of the pottery that is going to be preserved for a long time. He told him to do this. He said, do it in the presence of witnesses. He said, because what's going to happen 70 years from now, what the enemy owns is going to be released, because I'm going to restore and reclaim. And when it is released, somebody's going to find that piece of pottery with the deed inside of it. And what the enemy thought he owned, they're going to be able to wave the deed in the enemy's face and tell the enemy, no, you don't own it, because it's owned by Jeremiah. And Jeremiah has now deeded it to so-and-so and so-and-so. I wish somebody got this today. Somebody today ought to just go ahead and tell the enemy, I don't belong to you. I used to belong to you, but bless God, I'm in of restoration and reclamation. And God at Calvary purchased me, and he's got the deed to prove it. The fact of the matter is somebody ought to tell the enemy, your hands are tied. I don't belong to you. You can't go but so far. I don't belong to you. I belong to a mighty God. He was using what seemed in Jeremiah's day to be a silly and really kind of wasteful expenditure, simply to show there's nothing too hard for God. So Jeremiah says, I understand, y'all, the pain the seasons of darkness cause. Yet I'm sticking with God because I've discovered, first, there's nothing too hard for him. But when you look at our text again for the third time, this I recall, this I remember,
Yes, Lord.
this I think about. And because I'm thinking about God, I have hope. We asked last time, what is it that Jeremiah was thinking about? Well, I hope I've given you part of the answer. He's thinking about nothing being too hard for God. Now, remember chapter 31 and chapter 32. Chapter 31 is a preview of what God's going to do after the 70 years of captivity. Chapter 32 deals with the attack and onslaught of the Babylonians. So Jeremiah, at this point in time, has not experienced the manifestation of God's intervention in everything he said he was going to do in chapter 31. He's not gotten the evidence that God is going to pull this thing off. Not yet, he has not. But the reality is there is something that Jeremiah has discovered that each of us can really jump on board today, because we too should have discovered it. Jeremiah says in the next verse, I'm sticking with God. Yes, because there's nothing too hard for him. But he says, I'm sticking with God because I've discovered something about his mercy. He says, I'm sticking with God because God is so providentially wise that he gives us mercy. But not only does he give us mercy, and somebody, I pray somebody gets this, not only does he give us mercy, but they are new every. He says, God gives us what we do not deserve and what cannot be earned. God gives us mercy. You do understand what Jeremiah's talking about is, with all of the stuff he has said about Israel and what they've done and how they've messed up, God, he says, is keeping from me what I really deserve. Somebody needs to hear this. You need to understand the distinction. Mercy deals with God keeping from. Grace deals with God giving to. There's a big difference. The reality is, when you deal with the mercy of God, you deal with God holding back. It's almost as if you can see God standing in front of the forces of evil that could indeed do serious damage to us. And God, with his own hands, holds back whatever the enemy would try to do, and declares in our lives, in over our lives, enemy, you cannot have that kind of territory. You cannot have that kind of power. My child will never recover. Mercy is God giving me the benefit of his power and his presence, keeping back from me what I really deserve. I wish there was some transparent folk who understand that as well as you're doing today, as things are working out in your life, the truth of the matter is you've done enough wrong in your life for God to have wiped you out long time ago, but for the been for the Lord on my side. It's so good that David, he repeats it in verse 1 and in verse 2. I got it. Y'all are together. I got it. Y'all have not come short. I got it. Y'all have not messed up. Oh, but my testimony is if it had not.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
God, and his mercy is keeping from us the punishment, the pain, the suffering that we should really get as a result of our sin, rebellion, and disobedience. God, when he wakes us in the morning, has peeked into time through the lens of eternity, and he knows what's going to happen on any given day.
Yes, Lord.
Before we start the day. We think and act as if the day is a blank slate and that just anything can happen. But the reality is God in his providential wisdom has already walked the path that we're going to walk. He has already disarmed the landmines that if it weren't for his new mercy, we would step on those landmines along the way and get blown up. We would not make it to the evening time of the day. Oh, but bless God, he has already dispatched mercy to go ahead of us in this time of the day when I feel something grab me. It ain't nobody but mercy grabbing my hand and telling me, press on. Y'all may not get this. But God's mercy just blows my mind. I mean, it's absolutely, it's amazing because I don't deserve it. But it's amazing how precise his mercy is. Listen, you can't find nothing else to praise him for. Praise him that the instruments he uses to measure how much mercy I'm going to need are accurate. Because if the instruments God uses to put the dose of mercy at my bedstand that I need, if they hadn't been calibrated, if they were off just a little bit, something would happen this day that would overtake me and make me lose my mind. Oh, but I bless God. I don't know how he does it. I don't know if it's an angelic assignment. I really can't tell you the how. But I do know the instrument has been calibrated and the instrument is accurate. And from the time I woke up this morning until the time I will lay my head down, God has already previewed my day and given me exactly what I need. Somebody ought to shout, the reason you're in your right mind is because of mercy. I'm going to just quit. Y'all not with me today. I'm going to just quit. If y'all could see what I for every moment of challenge, God has given us mercy. For every attack of the enemy, God has given us. For everything that makes us shed tears, God has already given us. For everything you and I confront and do not understand, God has given us. Maybe this will help you. When you get a chance, read the 4th verse of the 23rd Psalm. It suggests that, yea, though I walk I fear no evil. Mercy, thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Then if you skip all the way down, and it suggests goodness and mercy. Now wait, hold on. It says, yea, though I walk. Number one operative word, through. I'm not parking, I'm not staying there. I'm just passing through. How is it that I don't get stuck there? I don't get stuck there because mercy is the lubrication that pushes me through. It could hold me if it were not for mercy. It could incarcerate me if it were not for mercy. But because of mercy, I'm just on my way. It is the valley of the shadow. You do understand that a shadow is made because something stands between the light and you. Well, you want to know how you made it through? It's God who creates the shadow. The reality is death is there, but it's the shadow of death because blood blocks the death from being a permanent end. I'm sitting with God because today my soul shouts.
Hallelujah.
He gives me new mercy. This is personal. He knows me, yet he keeps covering me. I have failed him, yet he keeps extending me his love. I have hurt him, yet he keeps believing in me. Every morning, new mercy. No wonder the writer suggested weeping may endure for night, but joy comes. Because in the morning, new mercy. Every morning ends the night. Every morning brings a new day. Every morning brings a fresh start.
Yes, Lord.
Every morning is worth a praise to God because it brings new provision for the day. Every morning brings new forgiveness for new sin. It's not in my manuscript, but it just came to my spirit. Perhaps that's why when the children of Israel were dealing with their wilderness season, perhaps that's why God said, I'm going to supply you with new manna every day. Perhaps that's why God told them, only take as much as you need to get through the day, because I'm going to give you new manna on tomorrow. Perhaps the manna for the children of Israel during their wilderness period was symbolic, I know it was, of the mercy of God. And he said, you don't need to try to carry over mercy from yesterday to get you through today, because you don't go ahead and exhaust your mercy. I'm giving you a new portion, a fresh portion. Here it is. Here it is. This I can call. Not I can call. This I can vote. Yes, sir. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about there's nothing too hard for God. I'm also thinking about new mercy. Jeremiah, what's your conclusion? Simple. I'm sticking with God. I got that, Jeremiah. But what's your conclusion? The conclusion is great is.
Yes, Lord. Hallelujah.
I wish give you one of them. We'll see what the Lord says. God is faithful in giving us his grace.
Yes, Lord.
We can praise him, and we ought to, for mercy. God, keep it from us what we really deserve. But he's also faithful in giving us his grace. And his grace simply means giving us undeserved, unearned favor. I got to quit, so let me cut across this and do this. If you're not ashamed, simply because you understand the reality of the power of the blood of Christ working in your life, let me have those of you who have to admit, since we were here last Sunday, over the course of the last 7 days, for those of you who will admit that somewhere in the last 7 days you messed up. Somewhere in the last 7 days you came short. If you're in here, just stand up. I just want you to stand up. If you can make that acknowledgement. I got some of you all are beyond sin, and praise God, I'm just trying to be more like you. But if along the way you've come short, now if you're standing on your feet, just do me a favor and just shout grace. Here's the reality. God has been good enough to us. With some of the things we came up short on, we should be doing better at by now. Oh, but bless God, even though we did wrong, even though we had some of the same fights, some of the same arguments, came up short on some of the same temptations, yet God woke us this morning. You want to know why? I got two things to tell you. One, mercy. Two, shout out grace. Great is thy faithfulness. I woke up because of grace. I'm standing because of grace. I'm in my right mind because of grace. I got to shout because of grace. Grace. God redemption. And grace has been grace. Grace, look, it's amazing. It's amazing because even when I come up short, he's faithful with his grace. It's amazing, y'all. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't deserve it, but he keeps on giving it. So here's my conclusion. I'm sticking with God. I'm sticking with God. If anybody asks you why I'm sticking with God, tell him for me. There's nothing too hard for him. Tell him for me mercy. Tell him for me. Where would I be without him? I'd be like a ship shout grace, y'all. Come on, shout it again. One more time, just shout grace. Jonathan, you better quit. You better quit. I'm trying to quit. You better quit. Bless the Lord for you right now. There's so much more I want to share with you. But at this moment in time, if you are present today, you are not in relationship with Christ. You've not been baptized. Here is something for you to ponder and think about for a moment. None of us had the wisdom or the good sense to order grace before we went to bed last night. And if I just offended you because you did put an order for grace and mercy last night, wonderful. But I'm sure when I say this, your order may have been noted, but nobody here knew the exact amount of mercy and grace you were going to need for today. And so my point is that God gives it to us in proportion to the day that we're going to have. And so if you're here today and you haven't received Him, you've never been baptized, I need you to think about this. God loves you so much that He's been issuing out mercy and grace to you without you even being in relationship with Him. Because He's waiting for this day when you will accept His invitation. He's covered you, He's kept you. The truth of the matter is, even if you don't belong to Him right now, God didn't let the enemy take you out because He got plans for you. He kept you against the day. And so today is that day. Today is the day when you say, Lord, I realize that the only reason I'm alive is because you've kept me through mercy and through grace. And now my acknowledgement of that means I want to be in relationship with you. And so I want to be baptized. I want you in my life. I need you in my life. I don't want to leave here and even attempt to make it another day without you as the head of my life. If you're here today, and I need need y'all to help me. I need y'all to help me because my voice, I recognize, may not do the trick. Look at the person who you're sitting next to. And look them in the eye. If they don't want to look at you, ask them, please look me in the eye. Look them in the eye. And tell them, mercy has been keeping you. Now, y'all can say that with no conviction at all. Do it again, please. Tell them, mercy has been keeping you. And tell them, grace has been helping. Now, you just heard those words. Please, if you've never been baptized, no more excuses. Come, come, come. On this, what could have been a snowy third Sunday of the first month of the year, God ordained for you to be here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There's somebody here today. There's somebody here who the Lord says, I want to be in relationship with you. I want to be the head of your life. He's not going to make you do it. He's inviting you into relationship. And we told you some of the benefits, and I just hit one. I just dealt with one of them. But he's faithful in everything he does and has for you. And he's got so much for you. Come on, don't fight. Don't hold back. Don't debate. Look, if you had to ask yourself, should I go up there? Is he talking to me? Then I can tell you for sure the answer is yes. If you've asked that question, the answer is yes. And the Holy Spirit speaking to you. He said, don't quench the Holy Spirit, but come, obey. As you're standing there today, please just come, just come, just come and say, yes, Lord. Just come and say, yes, Lord. Just, yes, Lord. He deserves a yes. Yes, Lord, I want you to do in my life what you want to do. Yes, Lord, I do surrender. Yes, Lord, I do submit. Yes. God deserves a yes. Will you give him a yes today? Give him a yes. Come. Come on, give the Lord a yes. God bless you. Take your seats. All right, we're going to do this before we receive our gifts. I took an early exit because this is installation Sunday. Then the best ushers in the whole world. We can have that amen at 3:30, and we need to be back for that. And then I'm not as young as I used to be. I used to be a preacher all day long. Not feeling like it. That day is gone. Amen. Yeah, thank God for grace. Amen. He's going to give me, by grace, he's going to get me through this afternoon. Amen. And it will be grace. Amen. And I thank you in advance, Lord, of what we're